Welcome to how I found an apartment in Vancouver. Welcome to my first apartment in Vancouver. So in this video, I'm going to document how I went from my lovely Airbnb to this lovely apartment in Vancouver. I got the keys, bitches. Oh my gosh, look at this sunlight coming through, like into the bedroom. Like, look at the blinds. Like, sunlight coming through the window. A nice spacious bedroom. Modern, sleek, being blinded by the sun. This is the life I was made for. Good morning. I am coming to the end of my first week here in Vancouver and I'm looking for apartments to rent because I've got until the end of April to move out of this Airbnb that I'm currently in. When I got here, I asked the Airbnb if they accepted 3 pets. I asked the Airbnb if they would let me stay. They're like, yeah, absolutely. But the only problem is you have to book through Airbnb and that is more expensive. The area I'm in, I mean, the average rental is about 2,500 Canadian dollars. So yeah, that is pricey. And so I'm gonna go and have a look at some apartments outside of Vancouver, well, outside of the main city and the main hub of Vancouver, but I'm also looking at the high-rise experiences too. So join me today as I go walking around Vancouver, trying to find a new place for me, my partner and my cats to live in. Now there's a lot of choice here in Vancouver on where to rent, and rentals over here are a bit different to how they are back home in the UK. So back home in the UK, you can go on things like Rightmove and you can find a rental and you can kind of move in anytime. You know, when somebody leaves, they can leave any day and then you move in, you get the keys, etc, etc. Here in Vancouver, they only do rentals most commonly on the 1st of every month. You can only move in on the 1st of every month. Sometimes they do on the 15th of every month too. My experience as well so far is like back home in the UK, you know, you go on things like Rightmove and you just send a little informal message and just say, hi, I'm interested in viewing this. Please, can you let me know when I can view it? And then here in Canada, I was doing that and I was either not getting replies or people were like, can you introduce yourself? And I was like, oh. So people appreciate if you send emails basically talking about yourself, what you like to do, your hobbies, your interests. Also, it is now Saturday. On Monday I start my new job. I'm very nervous about starting my new job. Now because my partner's not here, it makes it a little bit difficult viewing properties because one thing is I will just say yes to anything. I don't like negotiating, I don't like haggling, and he's great at that. And also another thing is, you know, I think we have similar tastes, but my taste might not work for him. So it's hard to view a property without him here. So what we're doing instead is I am getting him involved via FaceTime. It makes me feel a little bit safer as well going into people's homes. He can kind of see things and we'll see what he thinks and how he thinks about the place and if we can agree on something. I think what's gonna happen is he's not coming over until around April time and I have to get a place around about April time ready for the 1st of May. So he's just gonna have to trust me. So I'm just waiting to go in to the first apartment of the day. When going to view rentals, you want to make sure that you're staying safe. So always let your family know the address, the details of the people you're going to go and see, and also drop your location. I just saw the first apartment and oh my god, it was gorgeous. Stunning views, proper high-rise experience, gym. Oh my god, gorge, so expensive. I think the cheapest one started about $2,650 and that's without any bills or anything on top of that. This dream is fading. After the come down of that gorgeous apartment that I just saw that was a little bit too pricey, unfortunately, but with stunning views, I've got another viewing, but this time in the apartment via Zoom. Not gonna lie, that Zoom viewing was a little awkward. That's not for me. I won't have that one. On to the next one. When I moved to Vancouver, my plan was to have the whole experience. It was to live in the middle of the city, knowing it was expensive, but to live in the middle of the city and also to just really have that sort of high-rise apartment experience, which sounded great at the time. But I've went to 2 viewings now of high-rise apartments, and both of them show me an apartment with an amazing view, and they're like, this one's available. And you're like, oh my God, great, this is amazing. Like, I would literally sacrifice all the space in the world for that view because the rooms are tiny. They start saying, okay, well, here's the deal, and then you get this discount on this discount, and then have this floor here, and then this floor here, and you're like, okay, yeah, fine, lots of information gets thrown at you. And then I'm like, okay, well, send me the details so I know what's happening, and then we can go from there. And then you get the details, and they're like, here's the affordable price on floor 2, on floor 3. And obviously you want to move into a high rise because you want to see the views. But from floor 2, 3, 4, etc., you are basically looking at another building, you're looking down on the street, you know, it's that sort of view, which is great because you're still in a high rise, but you're missing out on the views of Vancouver. And so if you want to get higher, again, the prices go up from 2.6, I mean, that's the starting price, about 2.6, up to 3.5, you know, and it's ridiculous prices. However, if a high rise is your dream and that is the experience you want to have, like me, that's the experience I really want to have, then you might have to make compromises. Now, you might want to rent an apartment on a lower floor for around about 2.4, 2.5, 2.6,000 a month. And if you do that, great, because the buildings do come with amenities. Amenities? They come with perks. So a high-rise building might come with a gym, 24-hour security, concierge, in my case, pet-friendly. They may come with rooftop bars, rooftop terraces, breakout spaces that you can rent on the top floor for any parties when you make friends. I'm still trying to make friends. And so you're paying around about 2.5, 2.6 for your room with okay views, but the building will have those available to you. And in my experience, I found that there are no additional costs to use those gyms. So what's next? Well, it's still very much early days right now, so I've viewed about 4 apartments in total, fell in love with 2 of them because they had great views. Another place I went to see, which was on the other end of town, which is fine, but it just was small. Also, I'm trying to find a place that will allow the 3 pets. Now, my cats are my family, and ideally I want all 3 of them to come over here. And there's no way I would rehome them, and there's no way I would abandon them. However, I'm in a very fortunate position where I own a home back home in Wales, and so my partner's mum is going to rent that place from us whilst we're over here. And if it really did come to it as a last resort, she would look after those 2 cats because they're brother and sister, so there is no way I would separate those 2. But there's also no way I would rehome them or leave them or abandon them without knowing that somebody's looking after them. So here's the plan as the last resort. Here in Vancouver, it seems very, very difficult to find a rental that will allow you to rent with 3 pets simply because they have something called the strata laws or something like that. And that basically means that per building, there are restrictions on how many pets are allowed in the place. Mostly it's two pets, and with dogs, if they're a certain size or a certain weight, you may find you won't be able to rent with them. I always think somebody should do research into how many pets end up in shelters or end up homeless because people are forced out of homes and they can't find a place to rent. I think that's something that needs to change. I think landlords shouldn't be able to make decisions like that. I think, you know, pets are family, and there is no way that you have to, people need to live, obviously, and in this rising, costly way that everyone's living, people can't afford to buy, people have to rent. And so that makes it difficult to find a place to rent because people don't want to give up on their pets. But here's the difference for me, is I am not giving up on my pets. So my idea is that James's mum will look after our 2 cats in the home that they were born and grew up in. So it's not stressful for them. They don't have to leave their home environment. You know, cats are very much about security, and they will not be stressed. They will be looked after, they will be fed, they will have someone around them all the time, and we can keep in touch with them, obviously. And then what I'm hoping is that as soon as possible I will find a rental that will allow the 3 pets. Once I find a place that will allow the 3 pets, I will fly back to Wales, hopefully as soon as possible, and I'll bring those 2 cats over with me. In the meantime, we're bringing our 1 cat over with us to begin with, simply because he is more of a sociable breed and he isn't part of the same litter as the 2 cats, the brother and sister. So it just makes sense to kind of bring 1 over and then go back for the other 2. It's a difficult decision. It's a really hard decision to make. I'm sure there will be people out there who don't agree with that decision, but it's the only decision that felt right to do in the circumstances of how I came over here. Great news, I've just got in touch with somebody to go and view a property tomorrow, and again, it's at the further end of town, but that's fine because they've said yes to the 3 pets. It's a great apartment, fingers crossed it's a nice apartment and not too small like the other one was. They wouldn't allow 3 pets anyway. I truly hope that this is the apartment I find that I can move into, and I hope James likes it, and I hope as soon as possible we can bring those 3 cats over. Oh my god, at this rate with the cost of rent, I'll need to set up OnlyFans. I don't know if you can hear the sound of the rain, but it's cozy. Tomorrow we continue to look for rentals. Good morning. Rainy day here in Vancouver. I'm starting the first day at my new job. So Vancouver life has started officially because I'm working now. And I guess this is what Vancouver's like. Rain. To the sadistic people back home who wanted to see me drown in the rain, you're so welcome. I heard it's been sunny in the UK. Maybe I should have stayed. First day at work is done. That was overwhelming. Lots to take in, lots to get used to. Let's hope I can get used to it. Now I'm on the way, still raining, to see an apartment. That rental was very nice, comes fully furnished, will allow 3 cats. Have I just found my first place to live? But here's the tea. I just saw a great rental. The only problem was they want the first month's rent. They want the rent times 2, basically. They want me to pay the first month's rent and then the first month's rent again to cover the cost of the cats. This is the face of someone who just found a rental. It's coming to the end of my first week here in Vancouver and I've found my rental, the place I'm going to live in. I move a lot sooner than I expected. My plan wasn't to move until May the 1st because I've booked the Airbnb until the end of May. However, I did manage to get a refund on this apartment, on this Airbnb, so that means I can move seamlessly. So, what a nice way to kind of round off week 1 here in Vancouver. With a rental, completed my job, and time to finish off this little bottle of wine. I feel like this is like casting couch or something. Welcome to my apartment. So, do you want an apartment tour of my first Vancouver apartment? So I have finally unpacked here in my apartment in Vancouver. It was not as stressful as I thought it was going to be, but basically I moved into this apartment completely on my own. So I had 3 cases to bring with me of clothes and just things that I own and things I brought over with me. And then I also needed to carry over, you know, like some shopping, some food, all of that sort of stuff. So doing that on your own is a bit of a challenge, but I managed it in the end. I started putting my personal touches on it. So the first thing I did was I went out and bought 2 cheese plants. What just happened? I bought 2 cheese plants because I had a massive cheese plant back home. I really wanted to bring it with me. I really wanted to bring my cheese plant with me. I couldn't. And I think I might get some bonsai trees too. Anyway, now that I'm in my apartment, I feel like I am able to properly settle here in Vancouver. My partner comes over in 2 weeks' time and my cats come over in 2 weeks' time as well. So I really cannot wait. I've also booked a haircut because I am in desperate need of a haircut. It's getting quite long on the back and on the sides now. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a whole buzz cut and just get rid of it because I've got a very embarrassing bald spot on the back of my head and I'm always like really self-conscious about it. And I also really need to find a good skincare routine because my skin looks awful at the minute. I no longer look young 20s. I'm starting to look old. So how did I even find an apartment in Vancouver? So in this rental, I'm paying $2,450 a month. I found that there are loads of rentals here. Loads of things become available all the time. There's always something going. Now, as I said at the beginning of the video, it was so important to me to find a rental that was not only affordable in Vancouver, but also allowed me to have 3 cats, and thankfully I managed to do that. So for me, I had to start finding places that were pet friendly. Now, if you aren't coming over with a pet, it's going to be so much easier because you can look at so many options. Now, rentals in general are very expensive, and also the housing market is crazy. So you will find that if you want a cheaper rental, the best bet for you is to either do a house share, where I have seen rentals going for about 800, 900 Canadian dollars a month. But of course you just get a 1 bedroom and you'll be sharing with housemates. The other option is to move just outside of downtown. So you might want to try North Vancouver, East Vancouver, West Vancouver. You might want to try Kitsilano. That's probably in with what I just said, but I don't really know the geography of it yet. Burnaby's another good shout. It depends if you want to be in the heart of the action or if you're okay and happy to drive in or commute or ride a bike in. The one thing I will say about downtown is everything is really within walking distance, so it's great to be right in the city. So with all of that in mind, you know, my budget, the pets, how did I find my rental? Well, I looked at places like Craigslist. Kijiji is another website that I looked at, and I also looked at Facebook Marketplace, and that is actually how I found this rental on Facebook Marketplace. There are also other options. You can walk around neighborhoods and there are lots of signs outside that says inquire now to rent this place. That's another good option. You can actually ring the number or email or find the company online. You'll find that with an agency, it's really legit. You know you're going to be in safe hands. The buildings tend to be a lot newer as well, so a lot more modern. But with independent landlords, you have more of a one-on-one basis and they get to know you better, and also they might be a little bit more affordable. That was certainly the case in my instance. One thing to be aware of is scams are really common with housing here. So red flag straight away is don't rent a place if you haven't met with the landlord or actually been let in and seen the property yourself. If the landlord tells you they're out of the country, don't transfer them any money. You also want to make sure that if you are transferring money, try and do it in person so then you can get the keys. When you get the keys, either with the landlord or on your own, just go around and photograph the place. I've heard people say that they photograph the place with the landlord in, so if any disputes come up further down the line, then you can dispute it. You know, if they're trying to say that you damaged something when you didn't. I didn't do that, but I trust my landlord. But what I did do was I just went around and took photos of the apartment and anything that looked a little bit stained or torn or whatever, which wasn't much, to be honest. It's a very nice apartment, but there are little things, so I did take those just in case the landlord does turn around eventually and say, oh, you've done this, and I'll be like, no, this was here when I moved in. So just be really smart about how you're renting and making sure that you get things done, making sure that you have all your bases covered, basically. Now, landlords do recommend you get tenant insurance. I haven't got it yet, but I probably will. This is just to cover you in the basis that something does go wrong. So tips on finding your rental then, I would say make sure you have a budget in mind. Make sure you meet with your landlord and see the place before you sign anything and transfer any money. Make sure you get the keys before you transfer any money, or that you're with the landlord so you can transfer the money and then get the keys. Be mindful that you will need to pay a deposit, which is usually half month's rent. If you're renting with pets, you need to do a security deposit as well. Another good thing to remember is that downtown Vancouver is one of the most priciest areas of Vancouver as a whole. So what you will want to be mindful of is you need a really good job to live here. There is no way I could live in this apartment on my own. I mean, I probably could, but I wouldn't have any money left for anything else. So I'm fortunate in the sense that James will come over and have a job, and then we will live more comfortably. So this is something to consider as well. If you are on your own and you want to save money or you're trying to budget, maybe look outside of downtown Vancouver, simply because it's quite a big ask to rent an apartment here on your own, really. But like I say, house shares are a great option because they are so much more cheaper, but then you give up your privacy because you only get 1 bedroom and everything else is shared in most instances. But it's a great way when you're new here to meet new people and make friends. So I appreciate you watching this video, this journey of how I found my rental, and I cannot wait to update you on when the cats come. That will probably be the next video or the video after, but I cannot wait to update you with the cats coming over and James coming over and all of that sort of stuff. And life will really begin now that I'm settled. So once again, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and let me know what else you want to see.